Okay. Wait. Oh, wait. My volume wasn't up. Sorry. I didn't know you were saying anything.
No, you're. Can you hear me? Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Perfect now.
Okay. Okay. Cool.
Yeah. I forgot to turn my volume up.
You're good.
Okay. Now I see. Is it switching back and forth on your end as far as the video?
No, it's.
Oh, cool. No, I think it's done on my side. I like it though. I like when it switches back and forth between who's talking. I like that. So
Oh,
this
cool.
production is way better than our first one.
All right. Now,
Yeah.
is it
Sorry I
okay
was
that
late.
it's? No, you're fine. Is it okay that it's vertical, or do I need to change it?
No. It's no. It's totally
Okay.
fine.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm trying to perfect my production here.
No,
I'm competing.
same. I'm slowly but surely upgrading my stuff. So
Yeah,
I
I'm
feel you.
competing. I can't compete with a
It's
lady,
it's
especially your
I don't know.
caliber.
I don't know
So
anything about this stuff. So I'm just
yeah,
like going by some friends and stuff that have equipment, and they're like, "Oh yeah, this is good." And I'm like, oh, "Okay, I'll get
yeah.
that later." Like slowly, we're getting there.
Well, yeah, I've been struggling for the past few days because I've been ordering the ring light, and the delivery drivers have been losing it every time. Of everything else I order, they never seem to allow that to make it to my door. So I was up until 2 in the morning going off on Amazon, trying to get them to understand. Look, someone is stealing my stuff. This is not a coincidence. And so this one finally arrived, and so I would have been able to make other productions throughout the weekend, but I couldn't do anything. I did not want to make another video without the proper lighting because I want my productions to be awesome, and I definitely wanted to perfect ours from last time, especially because I forgot to hit the record button, and we had good stuff on that one,
It's okay.
really good stuff on that one.
We got a good test run, so it's okay. It was good practice.
Yeah. Um. Not well. I mean, I've been watching a lot of your videos. You've been very consistent with your posting. I need to keep up, but no, you've been really consistent. You've been covering everything, and it's been awesome. You know, I like someone who's willing to cover the hot topics, even if it means, ridicule and because people are always going to have something to say no matter what you do. So
Yeah,
I
yeah.
did.
I
I
just
definitely enjoyed your one when you covered about. There was one recently where the guy had a lot of makeup on, or he wanted to be a
Oh
lady.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I really like that one because I'm like, you know what, you may people may not like it, but what you said wasn't wrong. So at the end of the
Yeah,
day,
I'm so just I'm like I don't freaking care. Like if it's right, it's right. Like that is what it is. You don't have to like it. It's just that's just what the truth is. So
right. Well, that's my I live by it. They don't have to like what you say. Now, just because they don't
yeah.
like what you say doesn't mean you're wrong. And I live by that. It's like we can disagree. We're allowed to have difference of opinion, even if you're not a liberal. And that's the issue
Yeah.
with these liberals nowadays, is that someone somewhere along the way told them that their word is law and their way of life is an example for everyone else. Live and let live. And it's just kind of like, where did we go in society, and at what point did liberals become the example of how to get along in society? Because they're definitely the wrong people to be listening to. So I don't
Well,
know.
it's weird that we even look to that side, if you will, for people that's like, to get along with, because you're only allowed in that demographic of people if you believe the exact same things that they do down to a T. Otherwise, you're not invited to the party. Like you can't be there. You can't
Right.
sit at their table. Yet they act as though everyone's welcome. Everyone, it's like you're not doing anything different from what anyone else does. Like people, you're always welcoming to people who have commonalities with you. So for them to behave as though like anyone's welcome, it's like no. That is so far from the truth. You guys are actually now they're much more they're more strict on who's allowed to be there than I would say than at least the middle to right, the far right. That's, I mean, anything out of balance is just wrong. But majority of the left is like you have to completely throw away anything, any conservative views, any of that, and then you might be allowed over here so long as you think the same thing we do. So
That's the hypocrisy when it comes to the left, is that they pretend like they are the most easygoing, welcoming, open-minded people, and it's the exact opposite. It's literally like it's our way or the highway. And somewhere along the way, well, not somewhere along the way, people, it's not even along the way. People just flat out don't recognize the fact that the left are literal hypocrites, like straight up and down hypocrites. I mean, there's nothing that they preach that they actually live out. They want people on their side, but they're so bad at lying. You see through it even when they're trying to pander. Like they're not even convincing. It is, and it's
Yes.
really, frankly, annoying.
It's the lengths that they're willing to go to pander and all that stuff is it's so embarrassing. And even though it's like I see like what's her name? Jill Biden just did that. She tried to pander to the Hispanic demographic, and she said si se puede or something like that.
Yeah,
And I heard that and I was like, oh, that hurts. Like it hurt to listen to that.
yeah,
But they'll just keep going because there's, for whatever reason, there's enough people that are willing to ignore that. Like they're just, so long as it's that mentality of so long as it's not Trump. Because you've had even Joe Biden. He thinks that Black people don't know how to use computers. He thinks
right.
they don't have access to be able to get IDs and all that stuff.
Well,
And
that's
I've
true, man. That's what took
seen,
me so long to start the production, because I had no idea how to use any of this stuff.
oh yeah, well, that's the using plugging all the microphones and all that stuff is totally different. But it's like you don't like he thinks that it's like he seems to have an idea that apparently Black people are very primitive. Like they don't they're not up to speed with everyone else. And it's like they have, first of all, they may not have like a whole studio set up, but they have enough sense to see what you were saying about them on TikTok, on YouTube, on TV. But for whatever reason, it's like just so long as it's still that, so long as it's not Trump, it's okay. It's like that type of mentality, that type of language should offend anybody. If someone thinks you're as dumb as an ape or something like that, I would think someone who has value in their intellectual abilities and stuff that would be offensive to them. But it's just continuously let go. Like there's enough people in the demographics that Joe Biden and his wife are pandering to. There's enough people that they may not agree with it, but they just let it go. So like it'll just continue being that way because they're not being challenged by the people that they're putting down.
Right,
So
right. And I don't know why they're not. It's kind of like
yeah,
why are people so afraid to speak up? And I don't know if it's the idea of thinking that something's going to happen to them. Because I mean, for me, it seems to be proven that the more vocal you are about what's going on, and the more outward you are with your approach to squashing some of this stuff, the I mean, things can happen to you. People are crazy, but I'm saying like it's usually the ones that are trying to bust the elites in private in a surprise attack. Those are the ones that get taken out beforehand because someone told someone that that's what you were getting ready to do. Next thing you know, this person commits suicide. So for me, being bold about what's going on, being strong about how you feel, getting on the front lines of this thing is the best thing that we could do. And I have
yeah,
about 10 years on you, but at the same time, we're both still young. And
yeah,
right now, what we're doing, if we keep with it, we're shaping the future of our children. And if we give up, we lay down and say, oh, it's over, it's not going to work out, Trump's not coming back. It's not even about Trump. It's about us doing what we're supposed to do as patriots, as citizens, and saying, no, I'm not going to allow this to happen in my America. This is our America.
yeah,
We are the reason why these people are even in office, and we have the power to have them removed. But until you recognize the power that you have and who you are, nothing's going to change. And it's not even until this past year that people start to be more bold. People start getting off the couch, and it's a beautiful thing because I don't think this conservative patriot movement would have gone as far as it's gone unless we got off the couch. We have people like Candace Owens, Charlie
oh
Kirk,
yeah,
these guys on the front lines. But collectively, if you were to count all these people up who are consistently on the front lines, we're talking about probably less than 20 people, 15 or 20 people overall who are on the front lines every day. I don't think that would be enough. All you're going to have is outspoken conspiracy theorists on the internet. It takes regular people like us to get off the couch or get from in front of the TV and get behind one of these microphones and cameras and say, no, I'm not standing for it either. I know you guys don't know me, but I'm a Patriot, and this Patriot says hell no. And so it takes regular guys like us, people like Scott McKay, doing what he's doing and making a difference. And so that's why I have so much respect for you. And you I don't know you, but I feel like I would, and it takes a lot for me to put this title on anybody. I would consider us friends because we're like-minded. You're humble and you just say it like it is. I can't count on one video that you made that I can say, she a little too far. She didn't really hit on that one. I see what she was saying, but now, like, you check what you're gonna say, even though you're blunt with it. You still make sure you know what you're talking about. You're not just out there saying F this, F that. You guys are wrong. I'm on the right, you're on the left. Go to hell. You're making sure you're making a good point. So that's why I respect your stuff.
Well, I mean, first of all, I really appreciate that. That was very, very kind. And just, I think, I mean, we have the same mentality when it comes to, people getting off the couch and doing it. Cause I say this all the time, and it's both a good and a bad thing. I always say no one's coming to save you, right?
Right.
No one's thinking about you in their everyday life. They have their own life to live. They have things that they want, things that they aspire to. They're not thinking about you. So in that sense, it's like, okay, it's kind of a daunting thing to know. That's like, okay, I am doing this. Essentially, I mean, you're doing it on your own, and yes, you can have people help you and stuff like that, but really you're doing it on your own because it's up to you to take those steps and continue to do so. You can have people who lead, like Candace Owens or Thomas Sowell, and I don't know how you feel about Brandon Tatum. I've heard people go kind of back and forth on him, but even him, just political leaders, and it's like they can be there, they can say all the things, they can do all of that, but it's completely up to a person to make the choice to follow those people, to take the steps, to do all of that. So it's going kind of to your point about, because a lot of conservatives were like, well, Trump, when he comes back, it's like, I said it from the first time, he's not coming back.
Right.
And then the news try to make it like, oh, Trump's kind of alluding that he made, it's like, dude, I said this from the very beginning, but whatever, because of course I don't know what I'm talking about, but so many people were just putting their trust and their hopes and stuff in this one person, and it's like, okay, look at that, just like that, he may not even be coming back. So now what have you done to further yourself, to protect your home, to do those things? It's like, Trump is just a person, Candace Owens is just a person, Thomas Sowell is just a person. Now they're smart, they're leaders, they're all of that, but at the end of the day, if you don't take the steps yourself, it's like all of it means nothing.
Yeah.
And like I said, they're not coming to save you. They will put their things out there, they will do what they can, but they're not going to come to you as an individual and be like, how can I help you? It's like, they don't even know you. Like, most of us don't even, like, you and I, like, we just started to get to know each other. So like, we don't know anybody.
Right.
But we all have the same beliefs. Like, we can help each other and stuff, but it's like, you have to be responsible for you. You have to be responsible for your home. So, and if you're letting someone else lead it, that's dangerous, because you never know who that person's going to be. People have bad intentions all the time. People have good, but it's like, if it's your home, you're responsible for that. And a lot of conservatives just kind of started to get like Trump was like their leader and stuff. And it's like, no, I mean, maybe in a broad sense, but in your individual life, like, that's on you.
Right.
So yeah,
well, and that's where people are going wrong, because I mean, for me, and we don't differ as far as our faith and as far as our when it comes to our passion for this. I do believe that Trump is coming back at some point. I don't think it's going to be like, oh, you're going to wake up tomorrow and find out. I don't believe it's like we're going to wake up tomorrow and find out, oh, he's taking over and Joe's out of there. And I don't think it's going to be quite that simple. I'm actually of the mindset that he's not going to really fully take over until 2024. And that's just from a few things that he said at CPAC and a couple of speeches and statements he's made after that. I'm personally of the mindset that once the takeover happens, he's not going to be the one at the helm. I think that there's going to be someone else that finishes this 4-year term, and then he's going to start a fresh term. That's just what I think, just based on my own reading those. Now, I'm not putting stock into Intel and the Q and stuff like that. I don't even listen to Q. There's nothing against it. It's just too much to decipher for me. I'd rather do my own reading. But just from what I know, from what I've been digging into, I know things are going to flip. But I think people are relying too much on that. Is you do your part as a citizen, because it don't matter when this thing flips. There's still going to be a role for us to play. Just because things are going to improve doesn't mean this is over. There's always going to be opposition. There's always going to be a new something that pops up that says, okay, no, we're not going to let you guys do this anymore. So I'm still of the mindset that some of the people, not everybody, I'm still of the mindset that a lot of these people who are on the front lines now, a lot of these patriots who are outspoken, not even the most bold, some of them on the lower level, but I'm really of the mindset that once things do improve and change over, that a lot of people are going to become complacent again. I think they're going to get lazy, and I think they're going to get real comfortable in this new set that we're going to be in, that we're going to be involved in. And then once this opposition reemerges, they're not going to know what to do. There's going to be shutdowns, meltdowns all over again because they didn't do enough. I liken it to this: when you win a Super Bowl, you made your championship run and you get that ring, you get that hat, you get that shirt, you get that pen, that pennant and all that kind of stuff. You could retire. You can go ahead and say, fine, I got my ring. I'm gonna go ahead and sit in the background and watch the kids do it. You can, but if you have enough to stay in the fight, stay in the fight. You don't just sit down and retire and say, I got my one ring, I'm gonna go ahead and quit. No, you train in the off season, you get stronger, you get better, you get faster, you work with your team and come up with better schemes, and then you come back next season and try to make another run. This is the same thing. This Patriot run is not 2021, 2020, and 2022 and until Trump comes back. This Patriot run is forever. We just are just now getting into it. We've got soldiers and people who did this their whole lives. So we're starting late, especially me, but I'm in this for life. So I think people are going to get a little lazy.
I think, it's that, I mean, especially because I played sports and stuff growing up. I've been in the fitness arena and stuff for a long time. And it's just that something that my dad would constantly tell me. It's that killer mentality, right? Like that killer instinct. It's like, okay, so you get a win, right? Okay, you can celebrate that moment. Okay, but let's make it into 2 wins. Okay, now 3. Like for me, it's you can celebrate the moment, but for me, it's never enough. And that's like, even like the to your point, how you were saying about win the Super Bowl and stuff. It's like, these guys, they'll play because they want more. They want more, and that can be a good thing, especially when you're fighting for something, because totally dependent on what happens in these next couple of years, having Harris as, it's not even Biden as president. We know it's Harris. So having Harris as a president in the shadows for now, who knows what's going to happen. But I think that if Republicans do get it in 2024, like you're saying, I think there's going to be a sigh of relief and like, okay, like calm down. But it's like, okay, chill for the election day, but then let's go. Like, there's so much work that has to be done. It's not just, okay, let's take this win and then chill for the next 4 years. Because then, like you said, you have no preparation for if it flips again.
Right.
Everyone freaked out just over this election. And there's so many things that were exposed and all of that. But it's like, now that we know, okay, so now what can we do about it? Because this is something that's been consistently bothering me from the beginning. When Biden was inaugurated, you had a lot of people going, that's it, there goes America. What's the point? It's like arguing with a brick wall. What's the point of talking to these people? It's like, the fight is the point.
Mhm.
The W is the point. Like that's the whole reason for it. You're not going to win every little battle, but you better win the war, man.
Right.
Like you can't maybe you can't debate with this obscure whatever Instagram person, right? No post, no profile, user, whatever, right? Maybe you can't win with them. But there are other people, and I'm learning this the more that I've been speaking on this stuff. There are people who are watching, there are people who are learning. For all of the leaders, the political leaders and stuff that we have right now, this is so strange to me. There are people who learn things from me, and it's like, I am just starting out. I am incredibly small. My reach is starting to get somewhere, but it's practically non-existent for now. I'm very, very small. But the fact that there are people who are learning things from a small, I guess, political talker or whatever it is, whatever that people want to describe me as, when people are learning that, it's like that just shows there's so much information out there, but people just don't know what's going on. So it's like, if I can have the opportunity to teach someone, hey, this is what it actually is. Hey, this is, whatever. And you keep maximizing that. You keep teaching people, you keep, all that stuff. It's like that one person that's going to start to grow more and more and more and more. So yeah, maybe I can't win with this person on TikTok. Okay, that's fine. I got to talk to all of these other people.
Right.
So the seed is planted. Now it's like, now what are we going to do with it?
Yeah.
So
I mean, I'm right there with you. All you can do is plant the seed. It's not your responsibility to keep it watered and go back and make sure it's growing right. And our only job is to tell people what the truth is, and no, our word isn't law. But
yeah,
I mean,
it's like, I can't make you believe it. Either it's like, here's the information, do what you will with it.
right.
I can't force someone to believe it, but it's like, just know that it's there,
Yeah. Yeah, and it's there for everyone to figure out. It's like you have to get in these rabbit holes sometimes. You have to. You owe it to yourself. Because I mean, as much as I like Scott McKay, I always promote Scott McKay. I'm always going to promote Scott McKay because he's a humble guy, really super humble guy. All he ever cares about is getting the truth out to people. But even with him, I'll fact check. Not to say I doubt what he's saying. I want to say that I know this. I'm not saying, oh, he said it. I want to say I know because I cross-reference it with this. Now this makes sense. Now I understand why that looks that way. I like knowledge. And before I reiterate anything someone else says to someone else, I'm going to make sure it's factual, or at least in some sense makes sense. People always want to put dates to all this stuff. Oh, they said something was going to happen January this or February this, April, May, March that week. We don't know when something's going to happen. It shouldn't matter. That's where faith comes in, because I don't care when it happens. I just know what's going to happen. And I know during the time in between, when everything gets better, that God is going to take care of his children. So for me, I don't worry about things like that. And that's just how I'm built. I don't expect anyone to have my level of faith. So my level of faith in this area of when, where, and how has always been, you got to give it to God, because you'll drive yourself crazy if you don't. We can't do this on our own anyway. And before we hurt each other, stumble over each other, snap at each other, trying to get information and figure out when, oh my God, just pray every day, trust God, stay in your word, and match the word to what's going on. And all this stuff will make sense, because I don't know if people know this or not, but God does win in the end in the Bible. So if we know how the story ends, then all the other chapters shouldn't have that much of an effect on us. We've seen the end of the movie. So that level of suspense will be there in some sense, but you've already seen this happen. You can only watch the same horror movie so many times and still jump at the same moments. You know how the movie ends. And so for me, faith is everything. And you got to have your faith in the right place. Your faith can't be in Intel and Patriots and the Q and people like us. We're just trying to help people find the truth. They have to believe it for themselves.
Yeah, with like even how you were saying right now, because I had someone comment the other day. They were like, trusting God and not man. I'm like, that's true, because it had to do with the atmosphere of of everything, and that's 100% true. But it's interesting to me that I'm seeing a lot of Christians saying that, you know, it's like trust in God. It's like, yeah, but understand that God, this all of this stuff happening right now, that could be God just being like, okay, you guys have been ungrateful. Here you go. Still trust in him, but don't think that because things are going bad that it's not of him.
Right.
And I feel like for whatever reason right now, it's a lot of Christians think like, oh, as long as we trust God, everything's gonna be okay. It's like, well, yes, but I mean, they may not be okay down here. Maybe things will be okay when we're up there. It may not be here.
Right.
We know, like you said, in the end, we know what happens. There's all this stuff in between. There's still work to do, and it's like, you know, still trust in him, but don't make the mistake of thinking that because things are starting to look crazy, that this is not of God. I was talking to a friend of mine, and we were just kind of we're kind of just going back and forth on. He had seen he was on a dating app, and he was going through these ridiculous profiles, and one of them was the person was a vegan, they were Christian, they were bisexual, they were or is it pansexual? I don't know. It was one of those crazy things. And it's like Jesus loves everybody. And it was just like, you're not even an imposter. That is just not even close. Like no one
Right.
is fooled. There was more. I can't remember any of it. And she was, I mean, barely dressed. If you even want to say that it was dressed, she just had things covering certain parts of her body. It's like that was it. And it's like, okay, so on that, I was telling him it what I'm seeing right now is I can't remember what the verse is. It's in Matthew, but it talks about people getting to heaven, and I'm paraphrasing, but you know, God says, "Depart from me, I never knew you," because they're like, "Lord, we did these things in your name, and we this and that," and it's like, yeah, but you never became my child.
Right.
Like I can just say, you know, I can like just even just with you, I can be like, he's this and this and this, and I have no relationship with you. It's like who are you? You know? And I feel like we're starting to see a lot of that with, you know, these I say new age, you know, new age Christians, because they come up with some of the most crazy. Like I heard the other day someone had said that Jesus used a racial slur when he was testing that woman's faith when she I'm paraphrasing, but she was asking him to heal her daughter, and he was saying because she wasn't a Jew, that he said, you know, if it was about, you know, the dogs eating from or is it good, I'm paraphrasing, but is it good for like a master to basically, you know, cast the food from the table to the dogs? And she's like, but the dogs eat the crumbs, you know,
Oh,
of the
right.
masters. And I'm really paraphrasing it right now because I just can't have it all lined up in my head. But it was about that story, and he's like, and he called her a dog, and this and that, and it's like, no. He's testing her faith. He wanted to see how bad she wanted it. And he's a homosexual pastor. And I was like, I I can't. This is gonna be separating, you know, the sheep from the goats. Like we're gonna see a big divide, because you know everyone's a Christian now, right? Like, oh, I believe God and this and stuff, and it's like, yeah, but in James the Bible even says that the demons, they know God exists, but they're
Right.
not his children. Like, you can believe God exists, but having a relationship with him is a completely different thing.
Right.
So
Well, that's the problem I have, is that it's so hard to draw the line between what Christianity is nowadays and what religious people are, and who it's like, uh, man, I tell you, I'm not trying to judge. I'm really not trying to. But if you're a homosexual pastor and you got people wearing masks in your church, and you say you shouldn't judge and don't call out homosexuality, and you're running a church, you shouldn't be running a church, because no, I'm not perfect. I'm not going to pretend to be. I've got things that I'm not proud of, I've done in the past. I mean, by far not proud of. So I'm not going to judge anyone. But I'm saying that if you're the leader of a congregation, you have to believe all the Bible and you have to follow all of it. I'm not saying you got to be perfect, but if you're going to teach people what the word says, you can't pick out certain parts that say the word says this, but it's okay because society says that this is okay. You don't want to be judgmental. You don't want to hurt people's feelings. So yeah, the Bible says that, but this part right here, you can kind of be, you can give leeway on, you can kind of be gentle on that part. No, the Bible is what it is. And it's
Yeah.
black and white. And some stuff you have to understand and figure out what certain parts mean, but it's black and white. Don't do this, do that, live well, stay in faith, and trust me. He
And
doesn't expect any of us to do.
the Bible has standards for a preacher. Like, that's
Right.
not to say that man would be perfect, but it has certain standards to even be put in that position.
Right.
So it's like, if you're not even meeting the basic criteria of that, and you know, that's not, you know, everyone falls into sin because we're born sinners and all of that. But that, it's like, no, that is not it.
Right.
Specifically, no. It's like there is a certain criteria to even be a pastor ordained by God, because anyone can just call themselves that, but is
Right.
it of God? That's a very different thing.
Well, the Bible says you're supposed to be blameless. He literally said blameless. So it's like, no, it doesn't say perfect, but that means if you're going to be blameless, that means don't conduct your life and doing secret, underhanded things to where if your name comes up, no one should be able to say he did this. I got proof he did it. And he also did that. You have to be blameless. It doesn't say perfect, but don't do shady things. You're going to make mistakes.
Yeah.
But mistakes and being secretive and living a double life are totally different things.
Yes.
And so you're right. That's the standard he has for people of the cloth, blameless. And unfortunately, there aren't many throughout history that have been blameless. You know, people gonna make mistakes. You can't judge that. But I'm not a fan of TD Jakes. I think TD Jakes is a puppet. I think TD Jakes is more so about bringing in crowds and money than he is preaching the word. He gets up there and he'll get there and yell, realizing that when people are in the spirit, they could really be feeling it. But once he realizes people are at that point, he won't even say words anymore. He'll just start yelling and getting people to cheer more, getting come out of their pocket more because of that. I don't like the fact that when he does these yearly events, they'll headline, Oprah's going to be here, Tyler Perry's going to be here, this going to be here. Okay, but what preachers are going to be there? Like back in the day, revivals were all about the preachers. That's what revivals were way back in the day. I don't think they even do those anymore. Now you have celebrities headlining these Christian events, and typically they're black events, and they're featuring black music artists, black actors, black producers to come show up, and you're supposed to be coming to hear the word of God in a grand fashion. So what are we coming for? Are we coming to get autographs, or are we coming to hear the word? So I don't like him for that reason. I think he's all about money. But that's the unfortunate part about what's going on with Christians, because Christians have a bad name in society. And it's always going to happen because Christians are supposed to be the example for society. However, you have these lenient, want to be flexible and accommodating Christians these days to think that you're supposed to stroke people's egos and not be politically incorrect. The Bible is not politically correct. It says homosexuality is wrong. That's not politically correct, but that's what the Bible says. If you're going to follow it and you're going to preach it, you got to preach all of it the way it's written. And so,
and there's, oh no, sorry, go for it. Go ahead.
No, I got you. No.
Oh, it's just, it's like, there's a reason why Christianity is attacked and no one else is, right? You can be whatever, believe Islam or whatever. You can be Catholic. You can be like Buddhist, whatever, and no one cares. But the second you say you're a Christian, everyone jumps, everyone freaks out, and it's like, I mean, there's a reason for that, and that is actually some part of what really solidified my belief in Christ and stuff, is because it's like there is something different about this than anyone else, than what anyone else has. You can have, everyone's like, oh, that's, that's wonderful. You go to church with your family. Oh, like, that's cute, whatever. Okay. You're like, oh, I'm a Christian. And it's like, you what?
Right.
You bigot, you this, right. You hate all this. It's like, no, Not at all. And I don't, I mean, obviously because of the spiritual attacks, because the devil, he doesn't care about anyone else. He doesn't care about what these other gods that man has made and stuff. Like, he doesn't care because he knows they're not going to do anything.
Right.
He knows that if people believe in the God of the Bible, he's in trouble. So he lets them have that. But we get attacked literally just by that. And like you were saying, people, Christians are supposed to lead a different life and such. And some people can make the argument that, like, well, these religions do that. It's like, yeah, we are supposed to live a better life and stuff like that. But that being that we're supposed to be more like Christ, and Christ is perfect. We by no means will ever reach that, right. Ever. Not till we get to heaven. But it's like, so when people, because you can be a Buddhist and you can mess up, right? You can screw up and go against what it is that you say you believe. You do something else, and it's like, oh, it's okay. If a Christian does, it's like, I thought you believe this. I thought this and that, and it's like, look, I understand the reasoning why this is happening, because it's the one true God that is having an effect on humanity, because that's how it works. But a lot of people get this idea with Christians where it's like, if we mess up, it's like, oh, I thought you were Christian. I thought you were this and that. And it's like, look, you're not going to make me feel bad for being imperfect, because you're imperfect.
Right.
If you think you're the standard of what I should live by, it's like, you're just as imperfect as me.
Right.
So that for me personally, that doesn't bring me down, because like, look, I know ahead of time I'm going to mess up as long as I'm on this planet now, but I'm supposed to try and minimize that by being closer to God and stuff. But it's like, I'm not going to reach perfection, so I'm not going to stress about that, because I won't. But kind of going back to with like preachers and stuff, and it's like, there is their criteria, there's all of that, but given that they're people are going to do what people do, and we are born sinners. So like, the life that we're leading goes against human nature itself. Right. After the fall of man, right? Because everything was perfect, and then then it was like, haha, just kidding. And then now we're having to deal with that. But that's I don't know how I started again on that. You said something that made me think about that, but so
about the preachers, how they're more so about the money rather than the word of God. And it's sad, because like I said, Christians should be. And well, think about this. A lot of conservatives may not want to use the title Christian, but most, if not all, conservatives that I see on social media that post anything, somewhere along their timeline, you're going to see a lot about God. And to me, that's what we need to realize here. This has nothing to do with left and right, blue and red, Democrat, Republican. This is truly a battle of good and evil. And while it is necessary to have faith, going back to what you were saying before, there's work to be done, and faith without works is death. And you can sit around all day and say, God's going to take care of this, it'll be fine. But there's still work to be done on everyone's part. There's self-accountability, there's effort, there is correcting our own mistakes, making sure we're not doing the same thing that helped these people even take office in the first place, because it had nothing to do with a stolen election. It had something to do with that. But think about what else has been happening years before this that we chose not to get into, or we ignored, or our parents didn't get into. And whatever it was, Americans have been lazy for a while and very complacent, because a lot of the stuff that had been allowed to happen over these decades and centuries, if we had the boldness that we have now, those things would have never gotten that far. Look what's happening to these kids. Joe Biden is literally restocking his supply of adrenochrome and trafficking children in plain sight, because the dumbs have been raided. That's what the military has been doing for the past 3 or 4 years since Trump took office. They've been raiding the dumbs, rescuing these children. That's why I like Operation Underground Railroad and people like Victor Avila, who have been in the trenches helping them do this. fight
Oh, I
and
don't.
save
I
these
haven't heard
kids.
about that at all. I don't know what any of that is.
There's a movie coming out called The Sound of Freedom. It's coming out very soon, and the guy who either directed, produced it, he actually his story is being told in this movie of his rescue efforts and his firsthand account of what was going on with these kids in some country. And so it's very powerful. Jim Caviezel was making it, the guy that did Passion of the Christ, or played Jesus in Passion of the Christ. And Victor Avila is a former border agent who almost lost his life. His partner lost his life. He almost lost his life as well dealing with the cartel. Very powerful story. He has a book out about it called Agent Under Fire. Very awesome book. A very awesome book. I haven't read many books in my life, but I'm almost done with that one. But very powerful story. Super humble guy. Just out of a local, he's not out of a local area in Texas, but he was representing a certain city not too far from where I live now. And unfortunately, he didn't get elected. I don't know how that happened. I guess they didn't know his story, but I'm gonna do everything I can to make sure he gets elected this next time. It's the city of Southlake. But a very humble guy, super humble guy, has less than 500 followers on Instagram. I don't know how that's possible because this guy has a hell of a story. But he's a great dude. He's at the border now trying to help right this wrong here. But those are organizations I'm trying to piggyback on. I don't have the means at this moment because it's going to happen. I'm speaking that. I'm going to have the means to completely have my own startup. But until that happens, I've been reaching out to a lot of people and been getting a lot of good feedback. So pretty soon, I'm going to be helping some of these organizations do what they do. And that's all I ever wanted to do. People don't know my entire story, but unfortunately, I've had some bad run-ins and made some stupid decisions. And unfortunately, I may never be able to be a cop. That's all I ever wanted to do since I was 6 years old. And that may never happen. So I have to fight for the innocent, fight for these children, fight for these women out there, and fight for people who can't fight for themselves in other ways. I'm going to put this flag everywhere I go. I got it on the back of my laptop. I got it on my wall. I'm wearing shirts like this. And I'm gonna be a superhero from the couch. I'm gonna be a superhero from behind this computer, superhero from my cell phone. However I got to do it to fight crime, I'm gonna be that guy. And
that's awesome.
Because that dream might be dead in the physical sense, but in emotional, in my heart of hearts, I'm still a crime fighter. I'm not gonna let that dream go. I just got to do it a different way. So for me, this is a true passion. And I just went off on a guy. It's not even worth mentioning his name. He used to be humble. He used to give good intel. All of a sudden, he started making people pay him for his intel on his Patreon. And then he ended up giving people nothing. Now, the YouTube channel that he bashed said F YouTube. Now he's heavy on YouTube. And all he does is use his platform on YouTube to bash true people who are giving good intel. All he does is bash good people. And then he got his followers up. He got his viewers up. Now he's about to be monetized on YouTube for BS. When people who are actually spreading the truth can't even get monetized. It's just like, it's not about the money, but it's like you're telling lies about good people to get your name out there so people can come listen to you and you have nothing to offer. And so I bashed him and he made an hour-long video about me on YouTube. An hour long. I can't get him to take it down. I can't get him to take it down. They said it's not harassment. I'm like, I didn't give him permission to post my stuff and he's lying about me and everybody else. So how's that not harassment? I posted a video about child trafficking, how we need to rescue these kids, and they took it down in less than 10 minutes and said it was harassment. And then I appealed it and lost. So it's like, what's up with that? And I reposted it with a different title and a different image, and now it's still there. They look for certain keywords that they don't want out there, and they'll take it down and label it harassment now. They don't specifically code certain things. They just blanket harassment, so they won't have to put it back up. And so they're getting crafty. And that's the world we live in now. That's why people like you and I, outside of the people on the front lines, regular people like us, which we may blow up, it's not about that, but we may get bigger, and that's great. But the fight still has to be there. The passion still has to be there. For people who are watching us, they listen to us and think that we got good stuff, that's going to empower them. That's going to empower somebody else. They're going to go tell their cousin and sister and brother. That's going to empower them. This is a movement. And that's why I put people like you and people like Frankie Rodriguez and Arab, Rebel Arab, or Arab Rebel. You know what I'm talking about. The people that I believe in the most, not kicking anybody aside, I put them in that trailer for the movement because they're the most humble people that I tune into all the time, who are literally doing their damnness, taking time out of their day to get the truth out. You know, and I respect people like you. I really do. I can learn from anybody. And watching you post as often as you do makes me get off my ass and be like, you know what? I need to make a video today. I was going to write down some content, forget writing, just speak. And so you inspire me. You don't even realize you're being you, and you inspire me.
I really I appreciate that, man. Thank you. Um, kind of, I was thinking about something that you just said about, you know, um, getting up and just speaking, and then I was thinking also about how we were speaking earlier about putting your trust in God, and it made me think of that verse in Proverbs, the horse is prepared against the day of battle, but safety is of the Lord. You know, yes, you're trusting God and all that, but you still got to do the work. Like
Right.
you're not just going to sit and be like, Lord, can you give me a job? It's like, yeah, go look for one. He blessed his efforts, he blessed his work, and I don't know, that just made me think of it right now. And like you were saying, you and I, we may blow up, we may not. That's not the point. That's not
Mhm.
the point of any of this. Like when I first started, and I still think about this sometimes. It's not that I don't know that what I'm saying. Like I know it's true. I know all that stuff, but I didn't go into this thinking I'm gonna, I'm gonna be like Candace Owens. I'm gonna do this because I want to be as big and popular as she is, anything like that. I was just like, that's BS. And so I just said it. Like, and then it just kind of continued, and I was like, it's still a strange thing to me, honestly, that anyone cares at all about what I'm saying.
Right.
And given I know that I'm speaking about things that are just factually true, and it's still so weird to me that it's like, because I feel like with things that I say, I'm like, this feels obvious to me, but with saying it, it's either, it can either be an encouragement to someone, or maybe, someone didn't know, or whatever. But even like you, it's really encouraging to be able to talk to people. It's like, first of all, the fact that you're a Christian, it's like, oh, like there's another one. Like it's, there's a real one. Like it's so nice to be able to talk to people about, being a Christian and stuff. Cause it's, there's a lot of fake ones out there. And then that you have the same mindset, you have the same goal, which is just putting the truth out there. Cause there's so many people that are lying. The devil's having a good time with being able to use people to, because he's the father of lies.
Right.
He's having a good time right now. And it's like, it's really refreshing to be able to, like to be able to talk to like you and stuff. It's like, oh, this is nice. Like,
No, I'm right there with you, because the unfortunate part is that, and I may cut you off, but I'm right there with you because
no, go
I
for it.
talk to a lot of Christian people online. The Christian people that I usually have a hard time with is that if I want to vent, I'm not gonna get in there and lay out a bunch of F bombs. I actually made videos like that because I was truly pissed about something I saw on the news. I was like, I'm just gonna let it out today. And God told me, you know what, don't post that. That's not gonna be good. I know it's how you feel, but you can't put that up. That's gonna hurt. That's gonna offend someone. If not what I'm talking about, my words will offend someone. And I was like, you know what, you're right. Thank you, Jesus. I took it down. Well, my thing is sometimes I will put ass or hell or anything else. I'm not gonna go overboard. But if I'm feeling that way and it comes out, I'm not any less of a Christian. I'm not going to pretend to be perfect. I'm not saying I'm just going to do crazy things and say crazy things because I'm not perfect. I'm not going to rely on my imperfection and say, oh, God's going to forgive me. I don't live like that. But however, I don't think that it's wise as a Christian person to expect too much of yourself in that
Yeah.
area of perfection. You're going to say something you shouldn't every day. We're going to have thoughts we shouldn't have. Most of us have already done a whole lot in our lives that we should have never done. God's not thinking about that. What he's thinking about is your heart, where your passion is. Do you truly love him? Do you truly love your fellow man? I do. I love God. I love my fellow man. I love you. I love everybody on my Instagram. I love people that I don't even know. I can go outside, see someone on the street, and my heart is broken. I hate seeing people in that condition. I want to be able to help everybody. I ask God to give me one thing in life, is to bless me so much that I'll have enough to bless everybody else. That's all I want.
Yeah.
And so for me, I have a true passion for other people. I always put others before myself, and I'm not bragging on myself. That's just how I'm built. So
Mhm.
I asked God, what am I supposed to be doing with this? This is my nature. Where's my nature going to take me? And this lady called the other day, probably about 2 weeks ago, from this prayer line from Andrew Womack Ministries. And she said, is there anything specific that you'd like for me to pray? I said, yeah. She said, for money or anything? I said, no, that money's going to come. I want you to pray with me, in agreement with me, for God to not only tell me what my path is and make it more clear than he already has, but to bring those people to me and take me to those people. Make it more obvious than before. Just make it happen. So I won't start veering off on my own. And I cannot tell you the calls and emails I've gotten over the past couple of weeks. And I know that this thing is right around the corner for me. It's not about being big or being rich or having my name on the front of someone's internet page or name on a t-shirt, nothing like that. It's about using what God has given me at the level that he's given it to me at, because we all have different levels, and maximizing it. That's what we're supposed to do. Use your gifts, use your platform, whatever that may be, to do the right thing. And that's all I want to do. I wish I had figured this out years ago, but I'm not old yet, so it's not too late.
But no, man, we got plenty of time. Like, that's also something kind of how you're just saying that, like, my perspective on what is considered like old or late is that my mentality on that totally changed when I was about like 16, 17, because it's like, really, someone, when it comes to someone's age, it's like, it's really your mentality. Like, this is kind of going, getting off of what you're saying, but it just made me think of that, like, because you'll see people, I mean, Trump's a great example, right? He's 70 something and he's got energy, he's going to rallies, he's doing all this. Then you got Biden, who's like, you got to spoon feed the man, and it's like, they're not that, their actual time on this earth is not that big of a difference, but the mentality of, you know, your mental state will like keep you going, or it's like, or life support will keep you going. It kind of just depends on where you're at. But
right.
Yeah,
no,
I mean,
you're exactly right. No, that's actually perfectly on subject, because that speaks to what we were talking about earlier about everyone want to put a time to everything. That applies not only to this Patriot movement, that applies to life too. It's like, oh, I'm this age and I haven't done this yet, or my friend is this age and they already have a house. And it's like, well, they had a different path to walk. Their way might have been paved a little differently, a little easier. And that don't mean you're not going to get it. You're just not going to get it when they have it. You're not supposed to. Your path is different. And walk your path, live your life, trust God along the way, and just know that he doesn't give any more to any one of his children that he won't give to you. We're all his children. We just have different ways of getting there. But we're all going to get there. That's who he wants us to be successful. He made us for success. And knowing who you are
that
in
is
Christ
so true, man.
Yeah. Know who you are in Christ is key in this battle that we're in. You got to know who you are. Who we are, we're blessed. We are kings and queens. We have mansions in heaven waiting on us. We have a promised land. We are empowered through him. He has put us on this earth to do his work. And so it's like, know who you are in Christ, not know who you are as a conservative or as a Trump supporter. That's great, but know who you are in Christ is the most empowering thing you could walk around with on this earth, because that is your protection. That's your source. That's your life. And that's how I get my confidence. I don't like being on camera. I don't like people looking at me. I don't have the best self-esteem at all. But when I get on here and I speak about my passions, I don't care what I look like, because this is my passion. Like I that's why I'm looking down. I don't want to keep looking at this. When I look at this video, I see me looking at me. I'm gonna want to erase the whole thing. So it's like, I don't like the way I look, but it's not about me. If people want to hear what I have to say and God's saying do it, I'm gonna do it. And that's the level that we all have to get to. Not like me, but what God wants us to be. Humble, trust in him, doing the work that he tells us to do, and not sit around just waiting for things to change. I got this verse for a reason. It's Proverbs Romans 8:18. For the sufferings of this present time are not worthy to be compared with the glory that shall be revealed in us. So everything that we're going through is temporary. We have a promised land waiting on us. We each have a mansion waiting on us. And if we walk the right course, we're going to get what's promised to us. The only one that could take away our blessing is us. Just like with these politicians, the only way that our rights can be taken away from us is if we don't fight for them and we give them away. So this is a heaven and earth battle we're in right now. And they need people like us.
Oh man, that was, wow. That is so good. Like, to be able, like, just you can't separate the spiritual from anything that's going on. So many people want to look at like, this here. And I mean, I've even done that too. I'm like, this, like, what is going on? Even though, spiritually, like I understand, but I still get into that mindset of like what? But even just how you were saying, like this, the parallels with, the spiritual and, the physical. Bible even talks about that, we're in a spiritual battle. There are powers of darkness and stuff that we are battling. So it's like when something looks so crazy, it's like, what is happening? It's all of the unseen that we cannot see that is, that is contributing to, everything that's happening here. But oh man, that was so good. That was so good. I'm gonna be living off of that for like the next week. That was really good.
I almost thought I was in church for a minute.
Yeah.
Yeah, sometimes I don't remember what verses you remember until they come out. But no, but you encouraged me. I hope I encourage you and everyone else that watches. They took 800 followers from me during that purge, and I'm back up to 1,800. And I had 2,000 at first. So I'm climbing my way back, but I could have 50 and still do what I do. I started out with 50, and most of those were people I went to school with who don't even remember me. And so same thing with you. It's amazing anyone cares what I have to say at all, because I'm used to people not listening to me. So it's awesome. I enjoy it. Even though I always like being right here. This is not about me. And so if people are willing to tune in, then I have to get behind here and do this. So it feels great. And it feels awesome. And I really appreciate you coming back, because I jacked up the first interview.
No,
and,
dude, I'm glad we were able to work it out, because like like I said, like the first one, it was a good test run. Now we know, like we're both learning on this. So like I'm not even bothered about that. It was like, oh, okay. Like it's like okay, like I'm learning too. So like that's all right. But this is I'm glad we're able to work this out. And I want to be able to do it.
A regular thing. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm still and and I apologize. My schedule was so limited. Everything is now flipped. So I'm just kind of getting everything like settled, because I'm going to be home for a while. I'm not going to be on the road now, so it'll be so much easier to just like, we'll set it up, and I'll have a spot and stuff. My friend's letting me borrow his setup, so it's all getting easier and coming together. So yeah, I definitely want to do this. I definitely want to do this more. This is
for sure. Yeah, I felt bad too, because my schedule's a little scarce with my son running around, and he likes all this stuff that he don't want to touch everything, run through the house. And it's like, no, it's just not worth even trying when he's here. So, which he's probably gonna be here in a few minutes, but no, my schedule was like that too. But we're definitely gonna work all that out for sure, because this is awesome.
Oh yeah.
But the last thing I want to say is, for us and people who eventually watch this, is that you have to speak, you have to believe, and you have to expect. That's what faith is all about. Faith is not just saying it's going to work out. Faith is effort, and faith is expectation. When you speak it, you believe it, and you expect it, because that's who God is. God doesn't give you everything that you want, but he gives you everything you need. And once you learn the difference between the two, you walk differently. It's like, you know what, I want that, but I'm trusting God because he knows what's best for me. And that's when you live it all on him, give it all to him. While you're still doing your effort, you give it all to him. The outcome is what you give to him, not the full-on project. You still do your work, but you trust him for what the production is going to be. And so that's where we have to keep our minds, because I literally had to unplug from the media this last week or so. There's a lot that happened that I'm just now figuring out what happened, but it was getting to me. I wasn't having a nervous breakdown, but it was getting to me. It's just like, I'm so tired of seeing this. It's like, I want to do more. I want to get out there. And God's telling me, look, that's not your fight. Like, you can't go out there right now. You got to deal with that. That's not your fight. There's people out there I got for that. He told me, like we're talking now, he said, you have a different battle to fight. And there's people out there who are fighting that battle for me. I was like, you know what? You're right. So I had to calm down. I had to unplug from the media because it was getting to me. I'm like, these kids, man. That's my passion. I cannot stand somebody messing with kids. Anyway, before I get mad, oh goodness.
Righteous anger, man. It's all good.
I can't stand people messing with kids. But we will definitely plan this again. And but yeah, so I'm gonna make this a podcast too, definitely going to put the video out, and I'll send it to you. If I can, I don't know if I send you a file that large. I'll find a way to get it to you. Maybe Dropbox if you have a Dropbox. But
I think that or Google Drive. I think both.
Drive,
Either
right.
one. Yeah.
About Drive. Yeah, that's a
Yeah.
good way to go. So I'll give this to you. I'm definitely going to put it up. It's going to take a minute to produce it because I'm actually going to rip the audio from this for the podcast because I'm not using Anchor anymore. If you talk to, yeah, well, because you got to talk to, I'm talking about my buddy here with Norm Con Clothing. He actually put me onto a lot of better pieces of software for audio, video, for podcasts, everything. He told me about Buzzsprout. You got to check that out. I like it better than Anchor.
I went to Podbean instead. I was going to do Buzzsprout, but I jumped on Podbean. It's been working really good.
I like Podbean. I just don't know how to record on there.
I just still record like on my laptop, and then I'll just clean everything up and then just put it on there. Like I don't directly record onto their platform. I didn't do that with Anchor either. When I got my microphone and stuff, but yeah, I just switched too. So
oh, good.
So
good.
baby steps,
I like
we're getting there.
Yeah, I like Podbean because that's the only place I can get X22 for podcasts. That is, I can get the videos on Rumble, but I can't get X22 on any other podcast platform.
Huh?
I don't know if you listen to him.
Mm-mm.
He does get into the others like what we just talked about, but he mainly focuses on the what's going on with the big bank and the crypto and all that kind of stuff. It's very informative because I don't know what that's about, but it helps me understand a little more about how this money is getting ready to change over and why we're in the financial IRS and extra taxes and paying off debts that are not even ours. So that's a whole other production for that one. But it's worth tuning into. X22 report.
X22, okay.
Yep, or go on x22report.com for all his stuff, and then he shows you where you can get all of this stuff. He has a VPN that you can sign up for, which I'm about to get that. But yeah, Buzzsprout is nice because as opposed to Anchor just distributing it, you can they give you a login for each place it's distributed, so you can better like manage and monitor each source as opposed to Anchor where it blankets everything, and you have to go in there and claim it. And so, this is my podcast. You actually have a login for each one, so it's better management. And plus they perfect your audio when you upload it to make it sound more professional. They look for the highs and lows and even it out. It's awesome. But yeah, I mean, you got to talk to people who are up there. I had to talk to him because he knows he's doing his thing. Look at the beard. I mean, I'm trying to catch up with him on that too. But yeah, for sure, we'll definitely plan another one. And I truly appreciate it. Keep doing what you do. You're super awesome. Love the hair. I'm jealous because I had cut mine. And thinking about growing it back out because my hair curls too.
Oh yeah, your hair's probably curlier than mine. You probably get a whole fro, huh?
Yeah, it comes out. Yeah, I'm gonna find a picture and probably put it in my story today. But yeah, I'm jealous, man. I want to grow back so bad, but we'll see.
Do it.
Yeah, I'll put a picture up today.
Okay, yeah, let's check it out.
All right.
All right, man.
I appreciate it. Thank you so much. Enjoy your Monday and all that.
Yeah, you too. Thanks, man.
All right.